dealing with Achilles tendon pain when playing basketball, running, jumping, or playing any kind of sport? Are you unsure of what it is? In today's video, we're going to go over the different types of Achilles tendon pain, specifically tendinitis versus tendinosis. My name is Dr. Marco Lopez, Doctor of Physical Therapy and Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist and co-founder of the Basketball Doctors. So let's just jump into it. What is the Achilles tendon? So the Achilles tendon is the strongest tendon in our body, and it's composed of three muscles, two major ones, the gastroc, the soleus, and then the next one is the plantaris, and they attach via the Achilles tendon to the heel, and they're responsible for lifting ourselves up, so going up on our tippy toes, and also they play a huge role in absorbing that force whenever we jump, land, run. If you want to learn more about Achilles tendon, just overall the 101 stuff about it, click the link below in our description. But we're going to jump into the different types of diagnoses. The main ones are tendinitis and tendinosis. So the first part is more the tendinitis. So the tendinitis, which often gets used to describe all Achilles tendon pain, but it's actually not true most of the time. So the tendinitis is just like the ending itis, more inflammation. So normally these symptoms are you actually have inflammation in the tendon, and what happens is normally most of the time is you have an acute overload, meaning you ran a marathon or something and the Achilles tendon just gets flared up because that acute event. In basketball terms, it's more of that weekend tournament. So you played 5 or 6 games this weekend tournament and you haven't been playing that many games, and then on Monday your Achilles tendon is swollen, it's irritated, it hurts with pretty much any motion, especially just going up on your toes, even walking. That's because the tendon got inflamed from this acute overload. Usually with that, rest will help because you kind of overloaded it. We want it to calm down. A lot of people take NSAIDs, but we want to really treat it as an inflammation. Just compress it, get some slight movement, but it's more of an overload, acute overload, where we don't want to overload it even more. So rest will help with the tendinitis because it's just that episode where, okay, I just did too much and we needed to just calm it down. As opposed to the tendinosis, we're talking about more of a degeneration there. And so what happens there, it's more that chronic overload. So it's not going to happen in one event, it's going to happen a series of events. Let's say you just decided to pick up basketball again after not playing over a year. You're like, hey, I'm going to sign up for 2 leagues. You sign up for 2 leagues, you start overworking that tendon too much that it's going past its capacity, and then it gets really flared up in the tendon and it's more of a degeneration. So rest there. A lot of the times when people have tendinosis, they rest it and they're like, hey, I rested, I go back and it keeps flaring up. What's going on? That's because it's more of a tendinosis injury as opposed to tendinitis. So with the tendinosis, the treatment's gonna be actually more active. We actually have to go into more exercise-based. And we have a great exercise program for that. Click the description below, but it's our Achilles tendon program. It's a great way because the biggest thing you want to do is start off with some isometrics, go into some eccentrics, go into some heavier Achilles tendon loading, and then go into some jumping. But the whole thing is we want to improve that tendon's capacity as opposed to the tendinitis where the tendon was in good shape. You just did too much that weekend. So we need to let it calm down and then just go slowly back into your activity. Versus tendinosis, it's just chronic over time. You rest it, you go back, it's gonna get flared up even more because the tendon will get weaker. And that's the biggest thing, the biggest difference is the tendinitis is an acute episode, tendinosis is more that chronic overuse, and what happens is that capacity just decreases the more you rest it when you have tendinosis. We wanna build up the capacity, get the tendon stronger. That's why exercise-based interventions are the best. And also seeing if you have any other restrictions, if you're having restrictions in your ankle mobility or biomechanical issues as well, or just strength too. But those are the kind of like the main differences between tendinosis, which is that chronic over time issue. And like I mentioned, it's you do something new and you do too much over time, versus tendinitis, it's an acute episode, you did too much that weekend, you're gonna let it calm down and continue going back to your sport. And versus the tendinosis, you kind of don't want to rest it because it just gets weaker and then it gets flared up. If you guys have any questions between the differences, comment below. And if you like this button, hit the like button, share button. We are the Basketball Doctors. Let's ball for life.